Some schools get you ready for a job, but others, they prepare you for a calling. And today, we're going to dive deep into one of those places, an institution designed for a very specific, and I mean very demanding path, Military College Murree.
That's a huge question, right? And a lot of the time, the answer is found in places built specifically for that purpose. For some people who are going to be leaders, that journey starts early. We're talking about special schools that start shaping character and skills way before a career even begins. So let's take a look at one of these places.
Okay, so to really get what Military College Murree is all about, you've got to understand this one key idea, the feeder college. Now, this is not your average high school at all. Think of it more like a dedicated pipeline, an incubator, really, designed to get students ready for one of the toughest environments out there, a national military academy.
All right, let's get down to it. We're heading high up into the hills of Pakistan, where you'll find a perfect example of this whole model in action. And that place is Military College Murree, or as it's known, MCM.
So MCM is a pretty big deal. It's one of the top 3 military colleges in the entire country. And its mission? Well, it's laser-focused. It's all about taking young boys and getting them ready, both academically and physically, for the Pakistan Military Academy at Kakul. You could think of that as kind of like the West Point of Pakistan.
And you know what's interesting? It's actually a pretty new place. It was founded back in 2008, and get this, it went from opening its doors to sending out its very first graduating class in just 2 years. That's fast. Since then, it's just blown up, developing into a really modern, state-of-the-art campus. But a place like this, it's about so much more than just hitting the books and doing drills, right? It's built on a foundation, a core philosophy. So you have to ask, what are the values that really drive everything they do at MCM? Character, courage, and commitment. Simple, right? But this isn't just some catchy slogan they put on a brochure. No way. This is their official motto, and it's literally the foundation for the entire program. Every single class, every exercise, it's all designed to build up these 3 pillars inside every student.
So the big question is, how do you take a motto like that and turn it into an actual mission? Well, here's how they do it. They bring in boys starting in grade 8 and give them a full-on high school education. But, and this is the key part, they weave military grooming into everything. The end goal? To create officer candidates who aren't just book smart, but are also morally strong, physically tough, and have this really deep sense of national duty. And the students, they get a really unique identity too. They're not just called cadets, they're known as Himalayans. And that name is brilliant, because it connects them right back to the mountains where the college sits, giving them this powerful shared identity from the moment they walk in.
Okay, so what does a day in the life of a Himalayan actually look like? I mean, how on earth do you balance being a regular high school kid with, being a future soldier? Well, it all comes down to this really demanding dual curriculum.
So think of life at MCM as running on 2 tracks at the same time. On one track, you've got the tough academic stuff, physics, chemistry, computer science, basically everything you'd find at any top-tier school. But then, on the other track, there's the military training, and it is relentless. We're talking morning physical training, drills, shooting practice, self-defense. It's this intense mashup of mental and physical discipline.
And the whole point here is to create really well-rounded people. I mean, these cadets do everything. You've got your classic sports like field hockey, but then you also have horse riding and polo. They're also doing martial arts, they're in debate clubs, and, this is super important, they're even doing cyber research. That's a huge nod to what a modern military really needs, right?
So when you put a bunch of people through an experience that intense, what happens? They form an unbelievably strong bond. The entire culture at MCM is designed from the ground up to create this sense of brotherhood, the kind of thing that's going to last a lifetime.
A huge part of how they build that brotherhood is the house system. So every cadet lives and competes for one of 6 different houses. But here's the really cool part. Each house is named after a true military hero, someone who received Pakistan's highest award for valor, the Nishan-e-Haider. Just imagine that. It weaves this legacy of heroism and sacrifice right into daily life, even into friendly competitions.
Oh, and the traditions definitely don't stop there. Get this, each graduating class, which they call an entry, gets its own epic name. So you're not just the class of 2010, no, you're the first entry Iron Legion, or maybe the 20th entry Steel Titans.
It gives every single group its own legendary status, its own story within the college's history. How cool is that?
So, okay, we've seen this unique model, but what's the bigger picture? What kind of impact does a place like MCM actually have? Let's zoom out a bit and really look at its contribution and, why an institution like this even matters.
All right, let's talk numbers. At any one time, you've got about 550 cadets training at MCM. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but that's exactly the point. It's supposed to be a small, concentrated group. It's a super focused effort to grow a very specific pool of candidates who are being groomed for leadership from a really young age.
So, what's the takeaway here? What does it all boil down to? Well, first, MCM creates this consistent pipeline of really well-prepared candidates for the armed forces. Second, it builds that esprit de corps, that sense of unity among students from all over the country. And this last one is so important. Because it offers a high-quality education that's subsidized, it becomes this amazing engine for social mobility. It opens doors for talented kids from every kind of background, and in doing that, contributes directly to the nation's development.
And all of this leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. When a country dedicates an entire institution to shaping its future defenders and leaders from such a young age, what does that tell you about its priorities? What does it say about its vision for the future? It's a really powerful model, for sure, and it raises all sorts of fascinating questions about where education, service, and national identity all meet.